you guys watch the channel, you know that right now this is my daily bike. It's custom made and it's by far the best machine I've ever ridden. The foundation is the P51 e-bike, but I swapped out all the electricals for a much better dual battery 72 volt configuration. The motor is pushing 4 kilowatts. It even has pedals, so I can switch between motorcycle and e-bike mode. But even though I've only had it for about 6 months, I'm deciding to sell the bike. I'll leave the eBay listing below the video if you guys are interested. But I want to use this video to tell you guys why I'm selling the bike, the things I do to get a bike ready to be sold, and what's coming up next. Alright, so this video I did initially record live riding my scooter. However, I unfortunately lost the audio, so we have to go back and do this again with the voiceover. But diving right into this, why am I selling the best bike I've ever had the privilege of riding? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One is that I have this YouTube channel, it's a business, and it's not really a great idea to stagnate on one bike or one product simply because I like it. That allows me to make videos on something new, as well as just learn more about the overall space, have more experiences, try out more products. Now, the next reason why I'm selling this is more universal, and that comes down to the mileage on the bike. So the bike is still very young, 6, maybe 7 months old at this point, but somehow I put on 2,100 miles on it. And I think that just speaks to how much I enjoy riding this bike. It's my primary mode of transportation. It really is a fantastic bike, the best I've ever ridden. But of course, mileage does affect the value of the bike when you go to sell it. And to be honest, I really have no idea what's considered high mileage in the e-bike world. So I definitely want you guys to leave a comment letting us know both how many miles you have on your bike currently, if it's still in good condition, and what you consider to be a high mileage e-bike. Personally, I like to sell my bikes in good condition and still have plenty of life left for the next owner. And hopefully that allows me to sell it at a good price and recuperate a lot of my starting cost. And at this rate, if I was to keep this bike for say another 6 months, I'd probably have 4, maybe even 5,000 miles on it. And at that point, if I had to guess, I think the bike would still be in fantastic shape, but undoubtedly there would be less life left in the tank, so to speak, and thus I'd have to sell it for a pretty significant discount versus what I'm trying to sell it for today. Now again, I don't have a great grasp on what is considered high mileage, but I think 2,000 miles versus 4,000 miles is a pretty big difference. Because with all electric vehicles, even though the maintenance is very low, the motors are essentially bulletproof, the limiting factor here is the batteries. They are the most expensive component and they have the shortest lifespan. Now in my case, I'm using very high quality, expensive batteries using Samsung 50S battery cells. And so far at 2,100 miles, I noticed very slight battery degradation so far. So I can confidently say that this bike will get probably close to 10,000 miles before needing any significant upgrades or repairs. But I did recently make a video explaining how 2 of my friends already are experiencing battery issues with their bikes. One of them only has about 1,000 miles on it and the other 3,000. So age, mileage, the health of the battery certainly is a primary consideration when going to sell or buy a used bike. And by selling my bikes in good condition, I can often get a decent price for them, and I can put that towards my next bike or my next project, and that's exactly what I plan on doing this time around. So speaking of the next project, I'm going to go in a completely different direction because again, this bike is, to me, the pinnacle of e-bike. It's really hard to do much better than what I did here. If I look back at my very first e-bike build ever, it was a ton of fun, but it was also very janky and a ton of room for improvement. So then I sold it, I built my second bike, and that was a monumental quantum leap. This is still a build I recommend to people all the time. It was extremely affordable, and it came out extremely well. I was able to hide the controller, all the wires inside of the folding frame of this bike, so all that worked out perfectly. The performance was great, and then of course I replaced that with my current bike build, and this is just the best of the best. The suspension is top notch. We have the fat tires, the frame. I think it's very attractive. It can accommodate dual batteries at 72 volts, 4 kilowatts of power. Aside from a few small tweaks, there's really nothing I could build that would be significantly better than this bike. And that's why I'm going to go in a completely different direction and begin with a high-powered scooter and modify it from there. Now, until I got this Varla Eagle 1 V2 sent to me, I was very much so in the e-bike camp. I still am. I prefer a bike ergonomics to a scooter standing ergonomics. However, I came to learn from this scooter that I'm currently riding that the scooter space, due to having less regulations than the e-bike space, offers significantly better value and overall performance. So for example, this scooter that I'm on right now only costs around $1,500, and we have a dual motor system. There's one hub motor in the front wheel, one in the back. Each is rated at 1,600 watts for a combined system power of 3.2 kilowatts. And most shockingly of all, these are direct drive hub motors, which are more powerful, generally speaking, than geared hub motors, and they allow you to have regen. So this scooter has regen, which is a feature I've always wanted on my bikes, and I've never had it. The scooter is also full suspension, and it has a ton of travel. This is something that most e-bikes really struggle with. Even if they are technically full suspension, they often have very minimal travel, especially in the rear. So due to these specifications and all the high-end features that scooters offer, I've been really falling in love with them as a platform. I just wish that ergonomically they were more like a bike versus a stand-up scooter. And that's where I could modify these for my next bike build. So a lot of scooters, including this Varla Eagle 1 V2, have a seat accessory. So you can bolt on a seat, and immediately right there, it becomes a lot more like a bike. But you can take it one step further. With just these parts off of Amazon, I'm thinking I could take off the tall stem here and replace it with a BMX bike handlebar system. That, along with the seat, will essentially make this into a mini bike. And it will kind of look like this, but a little bit different. So essentially, I'll have the ergonomics of a bike, but all of the benefits, the value, the extra performance and features that scooters bring to the table. And all in a package that's a lot smaller than a traditional bike, which is something that I appreciate. If I can get a smaller package without giving up any features and power, to me that's preferable over having a much larger, more cumbersome bike that's difficult to transport. So that's why I'm looking to sell my current bike, even though it is the best bike by far that I've ever both built or even ridden, period. I like to sell my bikes in good condition and try to recuperate as much of my initial cost as possible. And for the sake of this channel, I just want to move on to the next project. And that next project, I think, is going to be modifying a high-powered electric scooter to be more of a bike form factor. I think that's going to be a very interesting and compelling value build for a lot of people out there. But with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, it's greatly appreciated. Also, leave that comment letting us know what you consider to be a high mileage e-bike. I want to see what the general consensus is out there on what constitutes high mileage when it comes to these bikes. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.